On today's Strictly Vikings, we discuss how the Minnesota Vikings win free agency. They won it. Hang the banner. First banner in forever, pretty much. Hang the banner, but the Vikings won it. We're going to get into all the details about how they did win it, where they go from here, and what signings they still have yet to make. We still need a backup quarterback, and we're going to discuss who it should be. We'll take a side-eye look around the league, discuss some NFC North signings, some big blockbuster trades over the weekends. We're going to talk about it all. We're only talking free agency today, but of course, we will end it with our ChatGPT player of the day. Let's get right into it. Today is Wednesday, March 12th, and Josh Dobbs is a New England Patriot, signing a 2-year deal to return to New England. No, I'm just kidding. We're not starting with that. The Minnesota Vikings have won free agency. Yes, free agency. If we're looking at it, bird's eye view, 30,000 feet up, the Vikings got 2 interior offensive linemen, 2 interior defensive linemen, 2 guys in the secondary. And yet we have money to spend because of the way we structured these deals. We still need a backup quarterback. And like I said, we're not done. The Vikings are not done yet. There's still guys to sign, still moves to be made. Not saying they're going to be as big as they were yesterday when you're listening to this, but they're going to be significant moves. So let's just get into what happened. The Minnesota Vikings signed Isaiah Rodgers first on Monday morning, 2 years, $11 million. And I'm going to go more in depth to all of these players throughout the offseason, just kind of, talk more about them. But we're going to do a brief overview of the signings, players, what they mean to this team. Isaiah Rodgers, cornerback, probably going to return punts too. Great depth guy. He was kind of buried on the depth chart over there in Philly with just all the guys in front of him. Great signing. Why not kick it off with a corner? Ryan Kelly, 2 years, $18 million. Center. Is he going to play center? I would imagine. We'll talk about the details there later. 2 years, $18 million. Great signing. Interior offensive lineman is what we needed. Jonathan Allen. They got him in the building on Monday. They didn't let him leave without him being a Viking. 3 years, $60 million. Great signing. Interior defensive line is what you need, especially guys who can get after the passer. That's what Jonathan Allen can do. Will Fries, here was the biggie. 5 years, $88 million. The Vikings haven't had a staple offensive guard since Steve Hutchinson. It's been probably over 15 years. It's just been a revolving door, it seems like, with that offensive line. So getting some stability in Will Fries there for 5 years, $88 million, less than what the Packers paid Aaron Banks, and I think Will Fries is a way better player. It's probably some bias, but I think he's way better. Great signing there. Byron Murphy. We're all familiar with Byron Murphy. 3 years, $66 million. We needed a corner. Why not bring the corner that we had last season that played great in our scheme and already knows this team, this city, the feel? Why not just go get him? And we did. 3 years, $66 million. He's getting paid $22 million a year, 4th highest in the league. You know what? That doesn't bother me. Every new contract is going to be like up there in range. By this time next year, Byron Murphy will probably be, towards 10th highest paid cornerback in the league. That's just how it works. And then Javon Hargrave, not official yet. So I hope by the time you're listening to this, 1, it is official. 2, I didn't jinx it and saying that it's a done deal. But the Vikings are expected to sign him once he is released on Wednesday from the 49ers. So all around, great signings. Now let's get into it. Let's see what I cooked up here. So a defensive line from left to right, most likely going Grenard, Jonathan Allen, Harrison Phillips, Javon Hargrave, Andrew Van Ginkel. That is lethal. I don't know why the NFL allowed this to happen. I don't know why teams in the NFC North allowed this to happen. This is a 5-man unit that can rush the passer, stop the run, and has got a defensive coordinator in Brian Flores that's going to scheme up. Only God knows what he's going to scheme up with the DBs, with the linebackers, with Ivan Pace, with Dallas Turner. Lord only knows what he's going to be able to do with this new set of guys. And the fact that you're going to be able to rush the passer with just 4 or 5 now is huge for this secondary. Takes a lot of pressure off the secondary because last year we weren't able to do that. Last year it was rushing 6, rushing 7, leaving 4 or 5 guys in the secondary free for all back there, man coverage, just praying that you get a sack. And then when you go and face the teams like the Rams or the Lions, they eat that up. They know how to counter it. Quick throws, quick slants. But now you got guys that you don't have to send 6 or 7 on every play. Rush 4 or 5, and you'll be one of the most dangerous defenses in the entire league. I would have a feeling that Flores had a big impact on who the Vikings sign. 2 veteran defensive line guys that I'm sure he's pumped about. Not like top of the market. I mean, Jonathan Allen got 20. Milton Williams got 26. Milton Williams got a lot more guaranteed, though. A lot more guaranteed. But this defense is getting scary. I mean, if I was an opposing quarterback and I looked across and I saw those 5 guys lined up, I got to worry about Grenard coming off the edge. If I don't want to look his way because I know he's coming, and I turn back to my right and Van Ginkel drops in coverage, I'm worried about a Gink 6 now. And now I'm worried about 3 guys from my interior getting close to me in pass rush. And it's a whirlwind for a quarterback. I mean, the things that the Vikings were able to do last season on defense with worse players, and now they're going to be able to do the same thing with better players. It's a recipe for success. Let's not forget Jalen Redmond either. I mean, Jalen Redmond absolutely turned it on at the end of last season, and now you got him rotating in with Allen and freaking Hargrave. Forgetting names already, man. I gotta remember these guys. They're Vikings now. Come on now. With Hargrave, that's a huge plus too. More rotation. They locked up Redmond early, which is a great sign that they just love him and what he does and what he brings to this team. So, great defensive line is looking fantastic. People are going to overreact to the Murphy signing just because he is getting $22 million a year. But then I did see this tweet that said once the contract details were out, it was Byron Murphy, Carlton Davis, Paulson Adebo, and Charvarius Ward all signed 3-year, $54 million contracts. I probably would rather have Byron Murphy probably out of anyone. I mean, if you were to let me pick any corner out of these guys, it'd probably be Byron Murphy for the Vikings just because he's already been here. So it's like if we were going to go get one of the top guys at that price range, give me Murphy. Why not? I would imagine they sign another corner or they're planning on taking one very high in the draft. I still think you have to sign one. So right now it'd be Murphy, Isaiah Rodgers, Mekhi Blackman. That's, depending on Mekhi Blackman, that's kind of the X factor there. Like, how good is he going to be? I would imagine they sign another one for depth, and I would imagine they draft one as well. Whether it's the 24th overall pick, I'm not sure. Whether they trade back and get one in the second round, that might be a better option. We'll see. But I think adding another cornerback is a necessity for this team. Isaiah Rodgers, he can return punts. I do think the Vikings might add another person to come in to compete for returning punts and kickoffs. But, good to have that versatility there. He, like I said earlier, he was kind of buried in the depth chart in Philly, but man, he can make plays. I posted a video on my Twitter yesterday. He was locking up Jamar Chase one-on-one earlier in the year, forced an interception. If he's doing that with guys, it's It's going to be great stuff for the Vikings. Let's get to the offense a little bit here. Darrisaw from left to right. Darrisaw, left guard, don't really know yet. Kelly, Will Fries, O'Neal. Those are 4 Pro Bowlers right there. 4 out of our 5 offensive linemen are Pro Bowlers. That is a monster offensive line. It's going to be interesting to see what the left guard situation is. If it's a guy in-house, if they go sign another guy, it might not be determined until training camp who's going to be in that left guard spot. But when you have an experienced center in Ryan Kelly, an all-pro caliber left tackle in Christian Darrisaw, and you just have to fit one guy in between them, I feel like there's a lot of options for that scenario for the Vikings to fit someone in there. And whoever it is going to be blessed to be playing alongside those 2 guys because, I mean, those guys are great. JJ McCarthy being paired with a center for years to come. I mean, I know it's a 2-year deal, but it's like, if he plays great, let's extend him. I like giving JJ McCarthy his own center. I like the idea of JJ and this center building chemistry instead of it being Bradbury. You know, Cousins did this, Darnold did that, McCarthy's now doing this. I want fresh start, new slate. Let's get these guys to bond. Let's get these guys on the same page. I like that. That's an underrated element to adding a new center in Ryan Kelly to this whole equation. People are saying JJ McCarthy is the biggest winner in free agency, and honestly, he probably is. Darnold gone, 2 new interior offensive linemen in, exactly what this offense needed. Aaron Jones re-signed. You already got Jefferson and Addison. It's like, what more could you really ask for? Let's get a solid backup quarterback for him. I'm going to touch on that here. Let's just touch on it now. Who is going to back him up? I think some options right now, and I really hope there aren't, something doesn't come out today while I'm recording this that it happens. So maybe I won't spend too much time on it. But Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Mac Jones, Jacoby Brissett, I think those are all viable options except Rodgers. I do not want Rodgers. I don't think Rodgers wants to come here because I don't think he wants to compete for a starting job when he could just go to Pittsburgh or he could just go to the Giants and just be the starter. He's probably going to be similar money. I don't think Rodgers wants to be in this whole dilemma of Rodgers or McCarthy. Rodgers has to tutor McCarthy, KOC offense. Rodgers wants to bring in what he likes to do, all this stuff. I just think that would throw a huge wrench into things. And according to, let me look exactly who said it here. But apparently Kevin O'Connell is calling the shots on the quarterback stuff, which, I mean, here we go. Michael Silver. In the Vikings organization, Kevin O'Connell's opinion carries the most weight when it comes to quarterback decisions. There are some very interesting conversations taking place right now. One, I would hope KOC is carrying the most weight when it comes to quarterback situations. He's the one calling the plays. He's the former NFL quarterback, and he's the guy who's made Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins an ass load of money. So yes, I hope he is making the calls, and I hope he carries the most weight inside that building. Let Kwesi do the math. Let KOC do the coaching and deciding on who he wants to play quarterback in his offense. I like that. And obviously, he's going to be a big advocate for whoever is the backup quarterback as well. So I love to hear that. I love to hear that he is calling the shots. That's most important to me. The fact that they said there is some interesting conversations going on it's not worrisome, but it's like my antenna's going up. Like what interesting conversations are, like, does that mean Kwesi and KOC are disagreeing on something? Does that mean one wants one guy, one wants the other, and KOC's like, no, I'm getting my guy? I don't know what that means. Obviously, it'll probably play out here within this week to see who the backup quarterback is, and maybe we'll have an answer on where the disagreement was. But as of right now, we don't really have it. My preference would probably be like a again, I'm picking up backup quarterback here. Like Jacoby Brissett, I don't know. Mac Jones would probably be fine. It's like if you can work your magic with Sam Darnold, you probably can with Mac Jones too. Pro Bowler. Mac Jones is a Pro Bowler rookie year. He hit the gritty in the end zone that one time. It was freaking terrible, but he still knows how to hit the gritty. Like it's in his system. So I don't know. But if KOC is like in the building, like being like, I need this guy, I need this guy, I need this guy, why would you not just give him the guy? And if you are that guy that KOC is begging for, it's like, oh my God, he actually sees something in me that like maybe he can revive my career or something. I don't know. We'll get into Daniel Jones in a little bit too. Just a weird decision from him, in my opinion. Fries on a long-term deal is exciting. You know, we have that. And I think my last bit here on the new guys is like, do the Vikings have a tunnel from Minneapolis to Indianapolis, like underground, that they're just meeting with, like, instead of the rest of the world? Because the things that have gone on between the Vikings and the Colts in the last 28 hours is pretty remarkable. Ryan Kelly, Will Fries to the Vikings, Cam Bynum, Daniel Jones to the Colts. Am I missing someone else? I don't know if I'm missing someone, but it's very weird that like 2 big moves or 4 big moves in free agency were done between those 2 teams. Pretty crazy. Not done between them because they're all free agents, but like, I don't know. One man's trash is another man's treasure, I guess. Most excited about the Vikings getting guys before the NFL draft that gives them a lot of flexibility heading into April. I don't think you're worrisome about not drafting one position in the first round rather than the other. For example, if we were to go after a bunch of defensive linemen in free agency, we would be like, we need to sign a corner in the draft right now. And now I don't think that's the case. I feel like the Vikings have options on whatever they want to do. And if they want to get really crazy with it, draft a running back in the first round, draft a difference maker like that. I doubt they do that, but who knows? We'll see. Who knows? Kwesi could be feeling himself after these free agency signings, and he could just be like, you know what? Just let me cook. Let me cook. Kwesi has been putting this plan together for like 3 years. He came into Minnesota. Everyone kind of clowned him for the competitive rebuild stuff in the initial press conference, and it's come to fruition. Like, this is what he wanted. He wanted a quarterback on a rookie deal so he could go balls to the walls, spend all the money he has in his bank account on all the free agents that he wants and needs for this team to be a Super Bowl caliber team. It's the recipe of building a team around a quarterback, but the quarterback is one of the last pieces to do it. Brock Purdy. Quarterback was placed there, great team. You know, they were making Super Bowls, NFC Championship games. Eagles winning Super Bowls. They built a great team. They put Jalen Hurts in the middle of it, and now they're paying Jalen Hurts, but they were successful with him on a rookie deal. Same with Brock Purdy. And that's kind of the recipe the Vikings are going after right now, and it's looking ideal. You have your 10th overall quarterback with a fantastic team around him, and now we're going to see here and see what happens. But I'm glad that Kwesi stuck to his plan, didn't fold it, just kept going. I know what I'm doing. This is what I'm trying to build, and he did it. Now it just needs to translate onto the field in September instead of winning the offseason championships, which the Chicago Bears have famously done the last 2 years. And I just want to, like, none of this would have happened if Sam Darnold was the quarterback. If Sam Darnold got paid $33 million a year from the Vikings, they can't sign these guys. They could maybe sign a couple, but they can't sign these guys and more who have yet to be signed if Sam Darnold was under contract for the Vikings. It just wouldn't have been possible at all. All right, let's talk about some of the departures from Minnesota, because obviously there were some pretty big ones. Sam Darnold, Nick Mullins, and Daniel Jones all on the move. Kind of flashback back to like 2018 when the Vikings signed Kirk. They got rid of Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Bradford. They got rid of all of them. And then they brought in Kirk. Kind of feels the same way. They got rid of all their quarterbacks from 2024, JJ McCarthy for 2025. Here we go. Rippon and McCarthy are the only quarterbacks on the roster right now. So like I said, they're going to sign someone else too. Maybe they'll have a competition for who's the backup, third string, etc. Cam Bynum. I'm going to miss him. The fans will too, but I'm glad he got paid. I just don't think. I think if Cam Bynum played a different position, it would be different. It has nothing to do with his personality. Obviously, it's just more of the Vikings aren't willing to commit that much money to his position. And then the writing was on the wall after they signed Theo Jackson to that 2-year extension. And the Vikings have high hopes on him. And I would hope that he's able to replace what Cam Bynum did on a much cheaper deal. And I think he'll be able to, especially with Flores back there calling the shots. I guess I should talk on Sam Darnold a little bit here too. I mean, fantastic season last year. One of the most exciting I've ever watched in Vikings history. It was fantastic stuff, all year long. One of the best seasons in Vikings history, only quarterback to win 14 games. But it literally just came down to not being able to commit that amount of money to a guy that's still unproven and collapsed in the playoffs. I mean, not even in the playoffs, the week before the playoffs and in the wild card. It's like, I think if those two games go differently, we could be sitting here with Sam Darnold still on the Vikings next season. But the fact that it was just a bad taste in your mouth and those games matter the most, and you weren't able to do it, it's just a bad sign. Johnny Munt to the Jags. Munt replacing Evan Ingram. Don't know how that's going to go for the Jags. They might have a little bit more work to do than just signing Johnny Munt, but maybe him and Nick Mullins will have a little dynamic duo. Hopefully Trevor Lawrence doesn't get hurt, and hopefully Nick Mullins doesn't have to play. Excuse me. Hopefully Nick Mullins doesn't have to play. But Nick Mullins is always fun for some plays. He's Nick Effett Mullins. He's 400 yards for 4 interceptions. That's what he is. He makes for an exciting backup because backups typically don't get you that. I had a fun time watching Nick Mullins. 2 seasons ago, this past season, he had some big third down conversions for the Vikings. Just an all around clutch guy, and it sucks to see Nick Mullins go. He's a Vikings legend for those 5 weeks that he played. Last thing here on the Vikings, Cooper Kupp, still an option for the Vikings. Maybe he's already a Viking by the time you're listening to this, but I think he's still an option for the Vikings. Kwesi talked about adding a possible wide receiver 3, and with Kevin O'Connell's history in LA, Cooper Kupp coming in, taking a load off, not having to be the top or second guy. It's like, why not? Why not come catch a lot of balls? I think JJ McCarthy would love that. I think KFC would love that. All right, let's get into our side eye look around the league here. We're going to start in the NFC North with what the Bears, Packers, and Lions did. The Bears got Grady Jarrett, Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, and Deo. I forgot to look up how do you say his name. Deo. We're going to call him Deo. Trenches. So obviously the Bears have the same idea as the Vikings here. You need to build the trenches, and Ben Johnson knows he needs to build the trenches. Like, I just imagine the Ben Johnson walking into the Bears front office and being like, yeah, you guys need a better offensive line. And everyone in the Bears front office being like, oh, okay, that's actually very informative to know. Like, last head coach really didn't focus on that. And it's like, wake up and smell the roses, Chicago. Like, that's been your problem for a long time. And it was your problem right off the bat with Caleb Williams. It was terrible. So Bears got better. Grady Jarrett signing, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty similar to the Jonathan Allen signing, just veteran players that have already kind of peaked, but can still make a difference. I don't like that their offensive line got better. I feel like playing the Bears was so easy just because their offensive line was so bad for so many years. But again, the Vikings defensive line got a lot better. So not saying it's going to cancel out, but it's going to be, I don't know. It'll be different games than they have in previous seasons. The Packers signed Aaron Banks to an ungodly amount of money. 4 years, $77 million. That's more than what Will Fries got, which is pretty crazy considering Will was probably, the top guard on the market behind Trey Smith. People were showing his PFF grade, Aaron Banks, and it was like 65, 68, 70. Like, it was nothing impressive at all. Obviously, PFF doesn't know everything. The Packers don't know everything. I don't know everything, but apparently the Packers love him. So will it be a good signing? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully not a good signing. I would rather have Will Fries for what the Vikings signed him. Detroit Lions signed DJ Reed, but let go of Carlton Davis. Big signing for them, obviously, having to cover Jefferson and Addison 2 times a year. DJ Reed was probably the top available corner on the market. Him and Byron Murphy were up there for the top spot, so I'm glad the Vikings got their guy. Kind of pissed the Lions got their guy in DJ Reed. DJ Reed played a good game against the Vikings in London last season, but he did get flagged a lot for pass interference, and it's always going to happen when you're playing Jefferson and Addison. Everyone's always going to be handsy and grab them because they simply can't cover them in man coverage. So, but yeah, I mean, I would like to say the Bears, Lions, and Packers all got better, but I think the Vikings definitely succeeded the most in the NFC North for free agency. The Vikings are actually projected to finish, or they're last in odds to win the NFC North. They're plus 500, which is last, which is pretty crazy considering the Bears are higher. I mean, that's ridiculous. The Commanders got a lot better with Tunsil, Debo, and Lattimore. All great pickups. I know Lattimore happened last year and Debo was a little bit ago, but it's like trading for Tunsil. Commanders are obviously going like all in. They're kind of taking the Texans step from last season. It's like, let's just replace the guys we need to replace, try and build this thing, try and maximize this rookie contract for as long as we can. Commanders are doing kind of the same thing as the Vikings. Let's spend the money, surround them with our franchise guy, and let's see what happens. I mean, Commanders are cooking up. Milton Williams, who I wanted the Vikings to sign and who a lot of fans wanted the Vikings to sign, got a lot of money, 4 years, $104 million. So obviously way more than the Vikings signed Jonathan Allen for and what they'll sign Javon Hargrave for. So, it was probably either get Milton Williams or get Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave. Who would I rather have? I don't know, going to be a toss-up. We'll see what happens. But a lot of money for Milton Williams. Interior defensive linemen, man, they are difference makers, and they are getting paid like difference makers in the National Football League. Eagles lost some guys. They lost Josh Sweat, Isaiah Rodgers, Darius Slay, James Bradbury, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Guys that made impact plays for them last year, but they're still going to be running it back with a juiced lineup, and they will be, back contending in the NFC once again. They lost some guys, but they got a whole roster of guys ready to go for next season as well. Justin Fields to the Jets for 2 years, $40 million. That is pretty crazy. $20 million a year for Justin Fields. Is it a bridge guy? Are they hoping it's more than a bridge guy? I'm not exactly sure. I think, paying a guy like that, you're not really paying him to be a bridge guy, but at the same time, he kind of is. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I like that signing. It's going to be interesting. It's a different than what the Jets are used to at quarterback, obviously with Rodgers and Wilson and even before that with Sanchez. It's just like Justin Fields is a dynamic playmaker. We'll see what happens. I saw that Garrett Wilson was pretty pumped about it, so maybe that's all that matters. Josh Dobbs got signed by the Patriots. We led it off. We led the show off with that. Great signing for them. Congrats, Josh Dobbs. Myles Garrett extended with the Browns. Money solves everything. If you're getting paid $40 million to stay at a job you don't like, you're most likely going to keep it because you're getting paid $40 million a year. And I would too. JC Horn extended by the Panthers. I mean, that cornerback money just went through the roof after that happened. And after I saw what Byron Murphy got signed for, I was like, all right, I can deal with that. I mean, that's what it's going to cost. It's a position of need. It's one of the positions in the NFL that you need solid players at. So signing a guy like Byron Murphy for that amount of money makes sense after a guy like JC Horn got so much money. So much. I mean, I'm going to look it up. It was a ridiculous amount, I know. JC Horn. I don't know why I didn't have it in my notes. It was 4-year, $100 million extension. So he's getting paid $25 million a year. A lot of money. And that's why, like, that was a lot of money when he signed. But now it's like Byron Murphy, $22 million a year. Doesn't look that crazy at $25 million a year. Geno Smith to the Raiders. That obviously opened the door for Sam Darnold to go to the Seahawks. Seahawks, they need a couple more wide receivers. I mean, they got Jackson Smith and Jigba and absolutely nobody. Tyler Lockett on the move. DK Metcalf to the Steelers. DK Metcalf and George Pickens are going to be head cases in Pittsburgh. You know, they're both just on the field. They're just both menaces and they both demand the ball. But it feels like they're the same player. Like they almost do the same thing. They're both, you know, yards after catch guys. George Pickens can go get it more than DK Metcalf can. But it just feels like they do the same thing almost. And the Steelers, like, I don't know what DK Metcalf is going to do. It's not going to put him over the edge. They don't even have a quarterback yet. It's almost just like they're spinning the tires, just like, yep, we're in the NFL, we're signing guys. Like, they're going to be around 500 once again next year. It's just the same thing over and over again. And I don't think DK Metcalf puts you over the edge. I mean, especially if they sign Rodgers, it's like, I don't know, they'll win 10 games. They'll go 10-7, 9-8, whatever it may be. Like, it's not going to be anything drastically different from seasons before. Then my last thing here, Chris Godwin back to the Bucs. You know, Chris Godwin, good wide receiver. I think that's his best fit. And if I was making $30 million a year in Tampa, I'd want to stay too. So, all right. Name the most random Vikings player you can think of. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to have a lot more stuff on the free agents next week. Maybe go into some in-depth stats, what the lineups are going to look like, you know, and obviously maybe the Vikings have already signed more players by next week's show, but great start to free agency. You know, very excited for what the Vikings are doing, what they're building. I've been on the Will Fries train forever. I think he was the first free agent I ever mentioned on this show. Can maybe go back, I think probably 6-7 weeks. I think he was the first free agent I ever mentioned that the Vikings should sign, and I'm glad they got it done. All right. Name the most random Vikings player you think. I'm going to go, I think it was Chester Taylor last week. I'm going to go Bernard Berrien, longest touchdown in Vikings history, longest offensive touchdown. Jim Kleinsasser. I feel like it was that not too long ago. Or maybe I made a video about Jim Kleinsasser. I think it was that. He was a tight end for the Minnesota Vikings from 99 to 2010. Not exactly a household name, but definitely a solid player known for his blocking and grit. It's very true, ChatGPT. I appreciate you. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Next week, another big episode. Skull Vikes. We're building a Super Bowl caliber roster right now. How do we feel about that, Vikings fans? Appreciate you guys.